Here's our final lecture on short-run costs, graphing the marginal cost and short-run average cost curves. Okay, well actually I'm going to start with total costs. Remember that total cost equals variable cost and fixed cost. And I'm going to briefly go over what all the graphs look like, just to pull everything together that we've been talking about in this lecture. And by the way, you are required to know how to draw these diagrams on the exam. Okay, so total cost equals fixed cost plus variable cost. Average total cost equals average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Now let's break down these average cost curves and what they look like. As we've seen, average variable cost decreases and then increases because of the law of diminishing returns. In other words, it has a U shape. Average fixed cost, on the other hand, will always be decreasing because you are dividing a constant fixed cost by an ever-increasing quantity. Okay, so here's a picture that has all these cost curves together, or at least everything but total costs. Here we've got average fixed cost. Notice that it's always decreasing because you've got a constant amount. We saw that on our total cost diagram, but we're dividing it by an ever-increasing amount of quantity. And the purple line here is our marginal cost. Somehow the label got dropped on that one. Okay, notice that relationship between marginal cost, average variable cost, and average fixed cost. This is like, again, a reflection of what went on with the marginal and average product curves. When marginal cost is less than average variable cost and average total cost, then those curves are decreasing. When marginal cost is greater than average variable cost or average total cost, then that curve is increasing. This follows exactly the same kind of analogy that I used with the production curves when I talked about that average on the exam story. It works exactly the same here. This means that our marginal product curve is not only upward sloping after a particular point, but it passes through the minimum of both the average variable cost and the average total cost. And notice that the average total cost is just average variable cost plus whatever average fixed cost is, that amount. So it's kind of like the same shape as average fixed cost, but a little bit shifted over and stretched out a bit because of the influence of average fixed cost. You should be able to draw these diagrams, know what the shapes are, the relationships between the different curves, and why they have that shape and relationship. That's the kind of thing I'm bound to ask you on the exam.